Hello, gorgeous human. How are you? Jackie here. I want to talk about change of season. So, what do I mean by that? Right now, we're experiencing the very start of a change of season where, for us in the southern hemisphere, we are moving from hot climate, our summer, into cool winter climate and season. For people in the northern hemisphere, they're coming out of their cold winter and into warm summer. When this happens, the body goes through an enormous shifting process. We are not so aware of it. Some people are, but typically speaking, we're not so aware of this for a number of reasons. The top ones that kind of spring to mind is because we are less and less living as close to the land, nature, the seasons, the earth cycles, the moon cycles, as we're quite far away from that. We're designed to be quite connected to it, quite in sync with it. And so the more people are in sync and connected and grounded to these natural factors, the more aware they will be of the changes that their body on all different levels of the body mind complex will start to be going through, to where it's the body mind complex is acknowledging that the environmental seasons and cycles are shifting. And so the innate wisdom says we too are going to be shifting, releasing, changing within. And that can look like a whole lot of different things. So the more connected you are to these natural factors and more aware you are of the shifts and cycles that your body's going to be going through, the easier that process is. The more unaware we are of that, so we have an awareness of, yes, we're coming out of winter and now we're going into spring. That's more of a real conscious kind of cerebral awareness that we have because we're taught that we're coming out of winter, so therefore that naturally means we're going into spring. It doesn't necessarily mean that we have an awareness of what's going to happen through the body mind complex as we shift along with those seasons. And so I just want to do a little bit of a highlight, I suppose, of a few things that really regularly come up. I'm going to do a much larger course on the immune system, the human microbiome, and add a lot of resources, tips, tricks, and knowledge so that it can really help you to understand what's going on, why it's going on, what you can do, what it means, all that kind of thing. But for now, let's just deal with a few of the common things that often comes up in sessions. One of the first things that we very much see is this shifting and releasing process that the body goes through when it moves from one particular cycle and season and into another. There is a readjusting process, a shifting process that happens, and that can look like a lot of different experiences and symptoms. Okay, and we are very conditioned to look at symptoms as being bad. Symptoms are a story that's being told. That is kind of like, it allows you to have a window into the body mind complex to say that there's something in particular or something much bigger going on inside the body. So symptoms don't necessarily mean something bad is happening. We very, very often see at a change of season these bodily experiences and symptoms happening in the body. We can also get shifts within the mind as well. I thought that was just popping up there for me, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on that because I'm going to elaborate on it more in the course. But our way of thinking and approaching things during different seasons very much can change. But we have a real intolerance to that, I think, because we have this expectation that we have to show up exactly the same way with the same energy and the same attitude and the same insight and the same, kind of like way that we do things day in and day out. And we are not designed to be that way. We're designed to very much go through our own different cycles and seasons. And whatever that means to us is whatever it means to us. And for us to be more accepting of that in not only ourselves, but in other people as well. So our mindset can absolutely change. Our different approaches to things can absolutely change what we want to eat, how we want to eat it, our level of activity, the way that the mind works, how quick we move, how slow we move. All those things can change. But let's look at it from a more of a health perspective and the way that the immune system and body wants to function. It's a very common time that the immune system wants to do a bit of a clean out. It's so common. And that could be from the littlest things where the immune system raises the body's temperature for 4 or 5 hours on a Thursday evening or whenever it is, and because it recognizes that there's been a little bit of a build up maybe within the muscle tissues of the body or within certain organs. It might be the respiratory system or whatever it is, and the immune system gets triggered by these change of seasons and says, oh, it's time to clean out. What have we got to clean out? Well, we've got this bit down here in the body and that needs to be cleaned out before we move any further. And so what it can do is a number of different things. As I said, one of the things is raising the body's temperature, and that's when the immune system can actually burn something off. But what I encounter in so many people is that we really misinterpret what the body is trying to do. We notice a temperature and automatically the response quite often is, oh, I'm getting sick. And because that is a belief system. Like when you say I am, you've attached yourself to whatever comes after I am. So I am getting sick really just propels the body forward into a state of sickness. And what the body might have been trying to do is actually just burn off an oversupply of bacteria that might be in the lungs or in the digestive system. And instead of it burning it off over 4 or 5 hours by a heightened body temperature, where you recognize, oh, it feels like I've got a bit of a body temperature. What do you do then? What's the natural response? A really good way to look at what some of our natural responses would be is to look at what animals do. What do animals do when they become unwell? They follow the body's cues. They follow their instincts and their intuition. So they become quieter. They go within. They settle down during the process. Sometimes, and it depends on what's going on, but what we can do is we can up our fluids, we can drink more water, we can take in more broths, we can sleep. Okay, so quite often it's just a process that the body wants to do for a few hours. But if we attach ourselves to assuming what's happening and we tell a story of I'm getting sick, that can blow out to a sickness period of 3 weeks or 3 months, where somebody then is telling a story saying, oh, I'd been sick for 3 months and I knew it. I knew it the first day that I got a temperature. I knew that I was getting sick. We are incredible manifestors. And I seriously mean that. We will manifest whatever the heck it is that we say is so. So instead of being the observer and saying, that's interesting, I've got a temperature. So what do I need to do? What does it feel like is the best thing for me to do? And then doing those things, we have a tendency of going into assumptions, going into panic, going into, what's the other word? Sometimes, not for everyone, but I'm looking for a particular word. Let me find it for 1 second. Almost like dramatizing, catastrophizing the experience. And that quite often is there for people that have been through a lot of trauma and a lot of stress. The mind is overstressed, over traumatized, overstimulated, and it immediately goes to the bad side of things. Instead of observing, what is this? What do I need to do? It'll go, oh my God, I'm going to die. Oh my God, this is 3 weeks of me in bed. Absolutely, because it happens every time, right? So we just need to be really aware of that. Through changes of season, the body looks to do a clean out. And it doesn't matter whether it's a clean out going from warmer climates into colder climates or colder climates into warmer climates. It is such a common thing that happens that I see all the time, people coming to me at this time and saying, oh, I've been so sick the last 4 days, and they look at it like it's a bad thing, like it's a wrong thing. Something is wrong with me. This shouldn't happen. I quite often catch myself saying to somebody, that's great. And they'll look at me really bewildered, like, did you just tell me that's great? And when you begin to understand that the body has to clean out, it's designed to do that naturally. Stresses build up in the body, it's designed to clean out. And the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is if we are particularly not good at listening to our body's cues and what it needs to do, and if we are really not good at advocating for ourselves and perhaps setting boundaries and taking time out when you need it, or taking days off when you need it, and you overextend yourself, or you believe that you need to keep working, and that you'll rest. A common belief system here in Australia is, I'll rest when I'm dead. I'll rest when I'm dead, or I'll rest when I've got holidays. One of the reasons why people get sick on their holidays is because they have been go, 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 go during their work period. They have been disregarding all the body's cues that it's been giving them to take different, do different things, take time out, rest, sleep, take a day off, whatever it is, so the body can do a bit of an offload or a shift and release, a reassessment. So when you don't give it the opportunity to do that, when you stop to take a break on your holiday, that's when the innate wisdom says, oh, thank gosh, now we can clean out what we've been holding for the last 6 months, or what we've been holding for the last 12 months. So my takeaway from this for you is understand that during change of seasons, this is when the body looks to shift and release. And it absolutely will do this through the common things that we see, which is colds, coughs, flus, snotty noses, so on and so forth. And I just want to throw in very quickly here the concept around flus. I've supported a lot of people through flu experiences, and there have been several times when clients have ended up in hospital from having a flu experience. And in every single one of those situations, the reason why that person ended up in hospital is because they totally disregarded every cue and request that the body was sending them to do what they needed to do in order to help the body release and help the body repair. They just disregarded it. And because they disregarded it, they didn't do any of the things. They continued to work on and move forward and keep the same level of activity. The body couldn't do what it needed to do. The infection took over, and they ended up in hospital. And sometimes it's a very big learning experience for people that they must have in order to learn from the experience. So understand that change of season is going to bring these cleaning, clearing, and shifting processes that the body's going to go through your way. It's going to happen. It's just going to happen. The more you can listen to the body's cues, advocate for yourself, set healthy boundaries, And don't worry about what someone else thinks, if you decide that you need to have a morning off or an afternoon off or a day off or a weekend off to be able to look after yourself or go to the beach or get in water or do some exercise or whatever it is. Uh, don't be scared about looking for different ways to be able to support yourself and support the body in what it's asking for. There are many, many, many resources, healing processes, protocols, wonderful products on the market, both natural and kind of man-made, that are designed to be able to help you. And they're not all right for everybody, but there are a lot of them out there that are perfectly right for you. So at least be open-minded to explore what the things are that is going to work for me during those times that my body needs to shift and release and go into repair processes. Okay? The last thing that I want to put onto the table and ask you to consider is that if you are somebody that lives in a household with other people, it is a belief system that if one person becomes seemingly unwell, and remember that in itself is a belief system, looking at symptoms of cold and flu or whatever as being unwell. If we start to view these as, oh, the body is doing shifting and releasing, it's cleaning, if we view it as that, then we don't view it as unwell. What I very, very often hear is somebody say to me, oh, my daughter got sick yesterday, so I'm just waiting for it to hit me now. There's this expectation, which is absolutely a belief system, that says if somebody in the family gets sick, then everybody else will get sick. Or there might be a belief system that the mum has where she says, oh, if any one of my kids gets sick, I always get sick. My husband doesn't get sick, but I always get sick. That is a belief system. And it can be a really uncomfortable thing to realize, but it's something that's usually pretty well ingrained into us, either from prior family members or our experiences with other family, or what we've been taught about through other channels, through the world around us. We know this is not true. Everyone has very different immune systems. Everyone has very different microbiomes. And once you understand the way that the immune system is designed to work and the different branches of the immune system, then you will understand that just because this person perhaps goes through this, or they have this particular bacterial infection or whatever it is that your immune system most likely already has the information around that. It's already come into contact around that, and it does not need to have the experience of it, nor does it need to be symptomatic of it, which means you don't need to get that. You don't need to go through that experience. So that definitely would be something that I would like to not only explore a lot further in that course, but perhaps even invite people into doing a collective group session around that, because that can be a really powerful release to unhook from that belief system of getting sick because somebody else is sick. And it might not even be because of the family. You might be part of a group, or you might have been taught that if you come into contact with somebody that you find out was sick a few days ago, then you might have been taught that, oh, you'll probably most likely get sick because you've been in contact with sick people. It's one of the reasons why I do not have any policies in place whatsoever in my whole 17 years of practicing, where I say just because somebody is sick with something that they can't come into the clinic. I welcome everyone into the clinic no matter what they are experiencing. And I've had clients before try to cancel, and they say, I don't want to come in because I'm sick and I don't want to pass it on to you. I don't have that belief system. I will not get sick just because someone comes into me with experiences and with symptoms. I don't have that belief system, so I don't get that sickness. There's no need for me or for my system to take that on board and do that. Do you see what I mean? So I think I've kind of thrown a lot of stuff out on the table, offered a lot of things to think about, and I want to invite you to offer up your own experiences, your own insights, maybe even your own thoughts about some of the things that I've discussed. And hopefully it helps you to be able to navigate these really cool periods of time that we have every year, where we shift from seasons and cycles into the others, and we watch the way that the body just wants to respond during that time. And then we help it respond as best as it can during that time by the things that we can get resources and access to, and the knowledge that we acquire. Okay. Thank you for sticking with me, and I'll talk to you really soon. Bye for now.